welcome you all on board to the year 2024. And this happens to be our very first class for the year. And it happens to be course POL126. All right. Okay. Let's check the comment section. See what we have in the comment section before we go straight into today's class. It's been a wonderful. Okay, yeah, I think we are good to go. The network was a little bit unstable there. I think it's a little bit stable now. Okay, so it's POL 122, POL 126 class, and it happens to be all that has to do with political science and the state and its citizens, and we're going to be dissecting some basic terminologies, some institution, some basic terminologies, and just before we go straight into it, let's see what we have in the comment section. Okay, I have Mr. Jonas says good. Okay, I have Mr. Jonas says good evening, sir. It's good to have you on board. Okay, I have Mr. Tech Mindset says good evening and a happy new year. It's great to have you on board as well. Good evening, it's great to have you all on board. And I have Ms. Ulua Damla. So Damla, this is your course, or am I mistaken? All right, so enough of the chit chat. So let's go straight into the main thing for tonight. So we have, as you can see, I have it on the board already. Oh, I think I need to reduce this a little bit. It's a little bit too bright, and it's reflecting on the board. Okay, yeah, I think it's better now. Also, okay, so we're going to be discussing, just like we have it on the thumbnail, we're going to be discussing some basic terminologies and some institution of the state, all right, before we go into the main body of the course. So, speaking of which, we're going to be looking at the term, we're going to be looking at the body, all right, African Union, all right, that's a AU, African Union. Now, when we talk of the African Union, what are we talking about? Okay. The African Union, when you hear of the word African Union, all right, when you hear of this, what comes to mind? Now, African Union is a continental, all right, continental, all right, a continental union, all right, meaning that this union is not limited to just a country, all right, it is continental. Now, be that as it may, being continental doesn't make it global, all right, it is a continental union consisting of 55 states, all right, 55, all right, member states, members state. All right, this African Union is a continental union. All right, and it consists of 55 member states located on the continent of Africa. All right, these member states are located on the continent of Africa. That makes Africa a continent, all right? Underline the fact that I said it's a continental state. It doesn't make it a global, all right? It doesn't make it like the likes of IMF, that's International Monetary Fund, all right? It doesn't make it. You can't put it on the same pedestrian with the IMF, or you put it on the same pedestrian with UNICEF. All right, this is a continental, all right, union, all right, whereby it has about 55 member states, and these member states are located on the continent of Africa. Okay, so we have that as that, and I believe it's no news to us that as you join this stream, maybe you're new to what we do here. You are expected to attend every class, all right, with your writing materials. All right, it is expected that you dedicate. You can get 60 leave, you can get 80 leaves, and higher education. It all depends on your preference. You are expected to dedicate a note, all right, to each of your courses. All right, basically, biz admin and public admin 100 level second semester, all right, does this course, and you are expected to dedicate at least, all right, a note to it, whereby you take notes during the class, and this note will be a good source of reference when you are preparing for exams. Although in the as one of the benefits of being in private class, you do get keynote from us during exam time to help you get ready for exams, but it's still expected of you to take down points, all right, when you're in the class. All right, this does not only help you concentrate, it also help improve your writing ability. All right, and let's not forget it's pen on paper at this level. It's computer based exam at this level, so you need to definitely work on your writing and spelling ability. All right, so let's continue. So speaking of the AU, all right, the African Union. Now the AU was announced in certain declaration. Announced in, I think I should use another marker for that. Declaration. Now, the announcement of AU in certain declaration led to something. All right. Now, but before we talk about what it led to, the certain declaration, what are we talking about? Very quickly. Now, this declaration, all right, the CERT declaration now is said to be the resolution. All right, this declaration is as a result of the resolution adopted by Organization of African Unity. All right, this is a resolution adopted. All right, now we're talking about AU, that's the African Union. All right, and we are saying this African Union came into existence as a result of an announcement. Now, this announcement was made in CERT declaration. Now, let's break down what this CERT declaration means. Now, the CERT declaration is said to be a resolution, all right, adopted by who? By the Organization of African Unity. By the Organization of African Unity. All right, adopted by the Organization of African Unity in the year 1995 on September 11. All right, on, I beg your pardon, 9 September 1999. Right, and basically now, so this declaration is adopted by the African Organization of that's the Organization of African Unity on 9 September 1999 in Libya. All right, in Libya. It has a, no, I think I mixed it up. As a Libya. All right, now in Libya, now this declaration announces the decision that led to the creation of African Union. Now you see how these are interwoven. Now, without this declaration, the decision that led to the creation of African Union would never have come to play. All right, would never be in existence. So we can trace the origin, we can trace the, all right, the etymology of African Union to the CERT declaration that took place in Libya in 1999, in September. All right. So we have that as that. Okay, so I think that's all on African Union. I believe we all are on the same page. And if you are just joining the stream, do well to introduce yourself. Let us know you. Do well to use the comment section. If you are here to smash the like button, also do well to smash the like button. All right. I think I have Mr. Jonas. Are we on the same page? Mr. Tech Mindset, are we on the same page? Miss Simi and Miss Uluwadamlola, are we all on the same page? Now, do you understand how AU came into arrival? All right. So I think just one more thing on African Union. Now, we also need to know that the intention of AU was to replace the OAU. Now, we can say AU is a replacement for OAU. And what is OAU? Organization of African Unity. All right. All right. A replacement for Organization of African Unity. I think I should put that in bracket. It's a replacement for the organization all right, organization, all right, it's basically a replacement for the Organization of Africa, all right, okay, Unity. So that's one important thing we also need to note about AU. Okay, So let's put all this together. Let's arrange them accordingly. These are bullet points. Okay, the AU in full means African Union, all right, and it's said to be a continental union. Okay, and this continental union has about 55 member states located on the continent of Africa. All right, so we can trace the history, or we can trace the etymology of African Union to the CERT declaration. And this CERT declaration is said to be a resolution adopted by the Organization of African Unity, that is OAU, Organization of African Unity, on 9th of September 1999 in Libya. Okay, and basically AU is a replacement. All right, the intention of AU was to replace OAU. Okay, and basically the AU is a combination. All right, the AU is a combination. Where can I slot this in? The combination of AU is a combination of countries, parties, or group sharing common purpose. Of countries, parties, groups sharing common purpose. Okay, somebody just smash the like button. Thank you for doing that. Please, if you're on the stream and you're yet to smash the like button, do all to do that. Also, do all to use the comment section. All right, let me know if there's anything I've said you really don't understand, you need me to share some light, all right, into. So basically on AU, that will be all on AU. Let's move on to the next one. So permit me to erase the board very quickly. Just not moving as fast as I wanted to. Now, let's move to the next one, which is the corrupt perception index. All right, corrupt perception index, or we can say corruption. All right, corruption perception index. When we say corruption perception index, what are we talking about? That is the CPI. We have corruption perception index. Okay, I have somebody on the comment section. Wow, the name is quite long, but I can say Derail. Okay, let me use Miss Derail. It's good to have you on board. The name is quite a long one. So now when we say corruption perception index, what are we talking about? Corruption, basically, corruption perception index or corrupt perception index, either ways, all right, is an index, all right, an index which ranks countries an index which ranks countries. All right, this index ranks countries, all right, by their perceived level of public sector corruption, by, all right, their perceived, all right, by their perceived levels of public sector corruption, level of public sector corruption. All right, for those of us that are new to this stream, all right, probably for those of us who are just joining, because I know the majority joined last semester towards exam. All right, for those of us who doesn't know much about how this works, okay, permit me to explain to you that basically what we are doing is called familiarization. We are only getting, all right, to familiar together. We are only trying to get ourselves familiar with our materials. All right, basically this is how it works. All right, we have in the private class we have 3 study model. All right, and this is one of them. Okay, now the other is the Telegram class, which is one-on-one. That is strictly, this is the fingers are not equal, considering the fact that there are still going to be some people that can't really afford the class, even though we make it as flexible as we can make it. All right, this is actually free to all, but the Telegram classes is the second stage. All right, is basically strictly, all right, strictly on the fact that people that are in the class can only access it. All right, and we have the third phase, which is the revision phase. So at this phase we are getting familiar to our material. By the time we enter to the Telegram phase, is watching. One thing with this is that we explain, I get to explain, you get to ask questions by typing, you get to write something down. All right, by the time you're not coming back to it on Telegram, it won't be the way it is now. They are just seeing it for the first time. Your brain, by then, your brain recognizes that I have seen this before, I've heard of this before, I've treated it before, and at that point, the level of understanding is heightened. All right, and level of understanding at that point is better compared to now. So that's why I insist you have your writing materials and you follow through as we continue in this class. So we have CPI, which is the in full Corruption Perception Index. And what does Corruption Perception Index means? It's an index which ranks countries by their perceived level of public sector corruption. Don't forget, every country has a public sector. Every country, let's not forget that it's the public sector that helps carry out the activities of the government. All right, it is the public sector that ensures, all right, government activities, all right, government intentions are being implemented. So every country of the world has a public sector, and don't be surprised that it is not just, don't point fingers at just a particular country. This is the most corrupt. Corruption is everywhere in the world, everywhere in the world, in as much as people are responsible, not machines. All right, in as much as even though if it's machine doing the public, minding the public sector, the machine is not people that, it's not programmers that program what they do. It's not programmer that tells machine what to do. The people give the set of instructions, who create the softwares that they work on, it's still humans. So in as much as humans are involved, all right, there's always a factor called human factor, and we can trace that to corruption. Okay, so basically that is it. Now, Now you can let's take this last point on this. Now the CPI, all right, generally defines corruption generally sees corruption, all right, as what? Abuse, okay, as abuse of entrusted power. Abuse of entrusted power. Okay, that's just T, not TH. I beg your pardon. Entrusted power. All right, for private gain. Now, what does this statement mean? Now look at this. Entrusted power. All right, and look at this. Private gain. Now, if a power is entrusted, does it make that power private? Now, compare these two words, entrusted power and private. If a power is entrusted, does it make it private? Okay. Now we have, this is where the issue of corruption comes in. A public servant or an individual occupying a public office. An individual occupying a public office, all right, is entrusted that position. That position is entrusted into that individual's hand, because no individual gets to that level without what we call a voting system. All right, no individual get to a public office without being appointed by the electorate. Now, when an individual is not elected into that position, everything that individual does in that office should be for the public, not for himself. But in a situation whereby the power, the office, the authority, all right, and everything, the resources committed into such an individual, which is said to be entrusted, the word entrusted, all right, when the people trust that you are the right person to be in charge of this certain position, when individuals are charged with the responsibility of getting things done. Let's not forget, the government is the machinery of the state. So now, as individual, and when we say government, it is individuals that are elected into these positions that makes up the government. They are the one that makes the state functions. Let's not forget, the state is independent. The state is permanent, but government is not. Because government comes and go, but the state remains. But for the state to function, the state requires some activities carried out by a responsible body. And that responsible body is government. Now, the government is made up by individuals that are entrusted with power. Are you getting where I'm going to? Now, this is how it works. Permit me to erase this. Now we're talking about, this is the sentence, this is the phase we are trying to elucidate. All right, that's the phase we are trying to expand. Now let me just write it up here. Abuse of entrusted, all right, power for private, all right. Again, you see, that's one reason I so much love pen on paper exam. You know, pen on paper exam, and you can be given this question, and you'll be asked to explain with detailed points. You can be given a sentence like this, and you say not less than 2,000 words. Explain the above sentence. They can even put according to so person in 1995, abuse of entrusted power for private gain. All right, explain. All right, then you begin to break it down into bits and begin to give you explanations. So basically, there are three things. Let's underline entrusted power. All right, and let's underline this. Now we have the state. We have the state. So we have the state, all right? The state is independent. The state is permanent, all right? Permanent. It has been before government came, all right? The fact that there have been people, right? There has been a state because people has, there's a territory. The state is all about territory, all right? Even animals, they have territory. And you hear in documentary, you say some particular animals are highly territorial. Meaning that if any other animal mistakenly gets into their territory, they will have them to battle with. So we have the state. Then the state cannot function without the government. All right, the state needs government, all right, to ensure that everything goes smoothly. Then here comes government. So I have government. All right. Then we have power. All right. So now let me use it as power. Now, just to quickly explain the phase above, this is the state, this is government, and this is power. Now, this explanation goes beyond just this phase. All right, is a basic knowledge, a basic understanding of what you should have, all right, about the state, the government, and even its citizens. Now, like I said earlier on, the state is permanent. Now, according to this, abuse of entrusted power, all right, for privilege, for private gain. Now, government doesn't get here, all right, except citizens that entrust this into them. All right, citizens, which is still the state. All right, citizens, which is the state, all right, is what entrusts power, and this power is being entrusted to the government. Now, according to the CPI, when this power given to the government, because government has to be empowered. If not, somebody here can say it and nobody will acknowledge it. All right, whatever government says is it stands. That's why the government itself is regulated by the rules and regulation of the land. All right, so under here is still the rules and regulation of the land, because comes government, comes rules and regulation. All right, it's part of the package. So now, when this power that makes government functional, all right, is given to this individual, and this individual now begins to use. Now, this power is the entrusted power CPI is talking about. If this power now that is given to you by the public, by the state, is now begin to use for private gain, not for the use of these people. If this same power is not being given back, and how does government give power back to the people? Is by providing social amenities, improving standard of living, all right, improving the economy of the nation. Now, this power is not being given back to the state, but rather they are not using it for themselves. Then this is what is called corruption. That is the pinnacle of corruption. That is the foundation of corruption. That is the genesis, the beginning of the whole thing. All right. So now, basically, it is now referred to as corruption because the entrusted power, all right, is now being converted by this set of people for their personal use. All right. I think we are good to go. We are clear on that, I believe. Are we on the same page? If you're on the stream and you're yet to respond, please do or to respond. All right, and let's all be on the same page. Now let me erase this so we can proceed. Okay. Now let me get my duster. There's comments. Now, let's talk about the EFCC very quickly. What is that? EFCC. EFCC. That should be Economic, all right, Financial Crime Commission. Economic and Financial Crime Commission. That is the EFCC. I want us to finish this terminologies today so we can go straight into the primordial state in our next class. All right. EFCC. Okay. Now, all right, thank you very much for that, Miss Simi, Miss Damilol. Is it not Damilola also? Now, the Economic and Financial Crimes, I beg your pardon, Crimes Commission is a what? Nigerian law enforcement agency All right. A Nigerian law enforcement agency. All right. And basically what they do, all right, is that they investigate financial crime such as advance fee fraud, all right, investigates financial crimes such as advance fee fraud, advance fee fraud. Now when we say advance fee fraud, what are we talking about? AFF. Now, when we say advance fee fraud, all right, is otherwise known as 419 fraud. It's supposed to be together. 419 fraud. All right. Money. All right. Money laundering. 419 fee fraud. Money laundering. All right. So we need to know that Efcc was established. All right. Efcc was established in 2003, all right, partially in response to the pressure from Financial Action Task Force of Money Laundering, all right. All right, partially. All right. All right. Established in 2003, partially in response to FATF. In response to FATF. Now, FATF now stands for Financial Action Task Force. Financial Action Task Force. All right. Peradventure, this is you never can tell where you can come across this. All right. FATF. All right. Financial Action Task. All right, force, all right, on money laundering, all right. Now, so we have basically that as that. Now, just a little bit more on advance fee fraud, all right. An advance fee fraud or scam is a form of fraud, all right, and this is said to be the most common type of confidence tricks. All right, AFF is said to be the most common. I think I need to erase, but I want to just erase for the next one. So please just pay attention. I don't want to erase. If I'm erasing this, I'm going to the next one. So AFF is said to be, all right, one of the most common type of confidence trick. Now, this scam typically involves promising a victim, all right, a significant share of a large sum of money, all right, and as soon as this victim is being promised this large share, all right, it will be requested from that victim a, oh, like what is the word to use now, just some little amount, all right, to process the actual, all right, each sum promised to the victim. It's just like telling somebody that I will give you 1 million, but before I give you this 1 million, you need to give me 200,000 to process, to do the management and organizing things for me to get the 1 million before I can give you. That is nothing but what we call AFF, all right, and advance, all right, advance fee fraud, all right. And as soon as the victim pays the money, all right, such victim, all right, is asked to pay more, all right, or the perpetrator makes away with the initial payment. So we have that as that. So now let's talk about the FGM, which is a female uh, genital mutilation. FGM. That's the FGM. Now we have the FGM. All right, FGM, which is an acronym for female, all right, genital. That should be genital, and we have there's a mutilation. Wow. Oh my goodness. That's mutilation. That's mutum. Okay. We're almost done with the class anyway. I believe we can still see what I'm writing on the board. Can we still see what I'm writing? Okay. So basically we have FGM, which is an acronym for female genital mutilation. Okay, thank you for that. Okay. Now, basically, when we talk about FGM, we're talking about let me make my writing bold so we can see it better. Basically, when we say mutilation, we're talking about cutting off. All right. All right. So basically, female genital, we're talking about the private, all right, part. So basically, it's about cutting off, all right, this part of this gender. Okay. And it's also referred to as female, all right, circumcision, all right, circumcision, all right. Is this the word circumcision still boils down to what we refer to as cutting off, all right. So it's said to be a ritual, okay, in some part of Africa, in some countries of Africa, it's a ritual. In some part of African, in some part of African countries. All right. In some part of African countries. Okay. So we have that on that. Now, so according to what we have here, so this, okay, we've established the fact that it's found in some part of African countries, and we have Asia, the Middle East, and now in 2003, the UNICEF, all right, in 2003, UNICEF estimated that at least 200 million of this gender, all right, in over 31 countries, all right, has been subjected to mutilation. All right. So basically, it is carried out by, all right, traditional circumciser using the object called razor blade. All right. Traditional, all right, traditional circum, all right, sizer, all right, using blade. All right, there's been an argument over this for quite a long time, and I believe that the majority, all right, of the countries that practiced this before are stopped. Just very few that have not been brought to record, I believe. All right, so that is all on FGM. So before we call it a wrap for today, it's almost time. Wow, we've not really covered. We still have like, okay, I think we still have like 5 to go. I think we'll just take one more because it's just about 7 minutes to 1 hour. I really don't want to use an extra minute at all because it will affect the next class, which I really don't want that. So we've talked about EFCC, we've spoken about FGM. Now let's talk about the FIRS. Yes, that will be the last one. FIRS. Then before we move into primordial state in our next class, we'll quickly go through the remaining ones. All right, so let's quickly talk about the FIRS. Okay, now we have FIRS is an acronym for the Federal Inland Revenue Service. All right, Federal is indicating that it belongs to the government. All right, Federal Inland. All right, then we have revenue. All right, and we have service. So basically, we would say the FIRS, all right, is an agency, and this agency is responsible. All right, wow, awesome. So now, energy has been restored. So we have FIRS is basically an agency owned by the government, owned by the state. All right, and is responsible for assessing, not accessing, assessing. Agency, all right, owned by the state, all right, to what? Assess, collect, and account for tax and other revenue, all right, to like assess, not access, assessment, like assessing, all right, knowing what something is all about, observing it and doing the needful, assessing, collecting, all right, and when they assess, they collect, the account. Assessing, collecting, accounting for what? Tax and other revenue. Other revenues. All right? Occurring, all right? Occurring to the, basically, that's what it means. To the federal government. So basically what this means is that every revenue and basically tax is not for individuals. Individuals pay tax, all right, but we all know that it is through tax, all right, that government generates revenue to attend to, all right, what it's meant to attend to pay salaries of the public servants, all right, keep the state functioning and running properly, all right. So basically that is the responsibility of the FIRS, all right. Let's underline the word tax and other revenue, all right. Government owned agency, all right, agency owned by the state. Okay, so that is that on FIRS. Okay, I think we still have 3 more minutes to go. Now we need to know that FIRS was created in 1943, all right, created in 1943, all right. FIRS was created in 1943, all right. Prior to the establishment of FIRS, prior means before, all right, the function, now its functions that, now before FIRS was IRDBWA, Inland Revenue Department of British West Africa. Before FIRS, all right, before we have FIRS, the agency that was in charge was Inland Revenue Department of British West Africa. Before was Inland Revenue, all right, Department of West Africa. Department of British West Africa. All right, so we have that as that. So but one thing you need to know is that one thing you need to understand is that in 2003, the federal government of Nigeria recognized that poor service delivery, all right, in the public sector, all right, and this led to the creation of Servicom. All right, Servicom is responsible, all right, for collecting complaints, all right, every government parastatals, All right, Servicom should be there, or let me say Servicom is there. All right, Servicom basically is just there to be in these parastatals and collect complaints whatsoever about that government parastatals and take them up. Okay, so we can say basically Servicom was introduced in 2004. All right, because the level of complaint, all right, in federal now, the level of complaint in the delivery of public sector became urgent national issue, undertook a series of steps that led to the entry of the service complaints Servicom, which with all Nigerians in 2004. All right, so let's let's call it a day here, and in our next class we'll continue from where we have stopped today. So I want to say the next class is in the next 30 minutes. So I want to say a big thank you. I want to say a big thank you to each and every one of us that made it to the class today. All right, so I have Mr. Jonas, I have Tech Mindset, I have Miss Simi, Miss Oluwadami Lola, Miss Dereal. Thank you very much, everyone. Look forward to seeing you all in subsequent tutorials. If there's any question you need clarification on, do well to reach out to me. And the private class is still open, and we are still accepting intakes. Thank you very much, everyone. I look forward to seeing you all in subsequent tutorials. Bye bye.